there's this black hat hanging in my closet still. I don't wear it. I don't touch it really. But every now and then I look at it, and I think about every man who made me earn the right to wear it. People want stats, rankings. I mean, that's not how I remember greatness, brother. So just this once, I'll tell you who actually earned it. You asked me who was the toughest out there on an actual wrestling level, and it's Bret Hart. Every time, brother, every single time that name comes up first. Because, I mean, look, people saw the size, they saw the character, but Bret, he didn't care about any of that. He got in there and he tested you, tested whether you could actually go, whether there was a real wrestler underneath all that darkness. SummerSlam, 1997. That night is still one of the proudest nights of my career. Shawn Michaels was the special referee, and the tension in that building, you could feel it before either of us even moved. It wasn't about who won. It was about proving something to the boys in the back, to myself, honestly. And Bret, he brought something out of me that a lot of people never got to see, because I could have just, walked through it, big man, few power moves, done. But he wouldn't let me. He pulled and pulled until there was an actual wrestling match happening. And I'm grateful for that. I really am. I remember afterward just sitting there kind of stunned. Like, did that just happen? Did I really just do that with him? And it changed how people looked at me, changed how I looked at myself too. The thing about Bret is he never made a big show of respect. It wasn't loud. It was quiet. It was in the work. He'd nod, he'd shake your hand a certain way, and you just knew you'd earned something. Years later, he said some things about me, about trusting me, about how I'd stand up for the boys. And coming from him, that means more than any title ever could. Because Bret didn't hand that out easy, not to anybody. So when people ask, who's the toughest guy you ever got in a ring with? It's not the biggest guy. It's not the strongest guy. It's Bret Hart every time. He made me better just by making me nervous, and that's rare. That's a rare thing in this business. Now, Kurt Angle. Kurt is a different kind of story because, here's a guy who comes from a legit amateur background, an Olympic background, and usually those guys, they never really translate. They can't let go of the shoot mentality long enough to learn the business. Kurt got it though, faster than almost anybody I've ever seen. He understood that you could go out there and make yourself look like a complete fool on some backstage vignette and then walk through that curtain and be an absolute machine. That contrast, that's not something you can teach a guy, honestly. I remember our program around No Way Out 2006, and I actually went to the office at one point and said I'd lay down for him at WrestleMania. I really believed that. I thought it'd mean more for him than it would for me at that stage. Vince wasn't having it though. Shut that idea down pretty quick. But just the fact that I offered it, that tells you everything about how much I trusted the guy in there. I didn't offer that to just anybody. And look, when you got in the ring with Kurt, you had to be laced up tight. There was no coasting through a match with him because he was always pushing, always testing the pace. He kept you honest. Backstage, though, completely different animal. Goofy, loud, always laughing at something. And I think that's what made him so dangerous in a good way. Nobody expected that intensity out of a guy who was cracking jokes 5 minutes before bell time. I used to tell the younger guys, watch how Kurt carries himself. Watch how he flips the switch. That's the whole business right there in one man. So when people ask me who impressed me the most physically and mentally in that ring, it's Kurt. Every time. He got it. He really got it, brother. And there's guys twice his size who never figured out what he figured out in about 5 minutes. Ric Flair now, before he was ever my rival, he was the guy I watched on TV, as a kid, thinking there's no way a real person moves and talks like that. Long before I ever laced up a boot myself, he was already the standard. The guy carrying the whole business on his back night after night for years before I even showed up. So getting in the ring with him later on, that was surreal, honestly. It still is a little bit when I think about it. WrestleMania 18 sticks with me the most. Rick was in a strange place at that time. He'd come back to the company and he was doubting himself, really doubting himself. Whether his body could still do it, whether his mind could still do it. And I remember just trying to get him to trust the process again, trust himself again. We got in there and something clicked. It reminded everybody, including him, of who he still was. That match didn't just end tonight. It gave him his career back, and I'm proud of that. Prouder of that maybe than the win itself. Then there's the night after WrestleMania 24 when he retired and I broke character, which I never did that, almost never in 30 years. But I walked out there as myself, not as the dead man, just to stand with him for a second, because some things matter more than staying in character. That was one of them. You don't do that for just anybody. You do it for someone who set the bar, who made the whole business believable before people like me ever got the chance to make it scary. People always talk about his talking, his charisma, all of that. And sure, fine, all true. But what I respected most was simpler than that. It was the fact that he never stopped giving everything he had every single night for decades, long after he had any reason left to prove anything. That kind of respect isn't loud, brother. It's there every time his name comes up. Now, this one's different because, Andre and I, we never actually had a match, not one. And people always seem surprised by that, given how long I was around him. By the time I got to the company, his body was already breaking down. Bad knees, bad back. He was working very little at that point, honestly. I caught the tail end of something enormous, and I didn't even fully understand how enormous it was, not at first. You have to understand, before cable, before all of this global reach we have now, Andre was the attraction, not a attraction, the attraction. People would travel just to stand in the same building as him. That doesn't happen anymore, not like that. And here's the thing, Andre didn't really care for big men. He'd seen enough of them come through acting like they were something special. But for some reason, he liked me, took to me early. I still don't fully know why, honestly. I remember walking into the locker room and he'd already be there, always the first one in, every single time, sitting there playing cards, just waiting. And I'd say something like, "Hey boss, how you doing today?" And he'd look at me and go, "Good, one day, kid, me and you, I got an idea." And that was it. That's all he'd give me. I'd ask him, "Come on, tell me what the idea is." And he'd just smile and go quiet. Never told me, not once. I used to think, there's time, we'll get to it eventually. And that's the thing about being young in this business. You always think there's more time than there actually is. Then he passed, and that idea just went with him, whatever it was. I think about that more than people would guess, honestly. What would that have even looked like, the two of us in that ring together? But I've made my peace with it, mostly, because I mean, greatness isn't always something you get to test yourself against directly. Sometimes it's just standing near it, watching it walk by you every single night in a locker room, and understanding even a little too late exactly what you were in the presence of. That's Andre for me. Not a match, not a rivalry, just a debt I never got to pay back, you know? And I've made peace with that too, I suppose. I mean, you probably saw this one coming, honestly. Everybody does. But that doesn't make it any less true. You know, if anything, it makes it more true, because it's not a surprise to anybody who was actually paying attention. Shawn and I, we didn't start out close, not even a little bit, especially back in the Attitude Era. There was real tension there, real friction, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. If he'd been on fire back then, honestly, I probably wouldn't have rushed to put it out. That's just the truth of where we were, you know, at that time. But something happens when you get in that ring with a guy enough times. The outside stuff starts to fall away, and what's left is it's just two people who understand each other in a way words can't really explain. Our first real singles match in your house back in 1997, Hell in a Cell, the very first one ever. I remember locking eyes with him before the bell and just knowing this was going to be something different, something neither of us had done before. Then years later, WrestleMania 25. I mean, if you ask me for one match, just one, out of 30 years, that's the one. The story, the pacing, the way the crowd breathed with every near fall. I've never felt anything quite like that before or since, honestly. We went again the next year, and that one ended his in-ring career. I retired him myself, and that's a strange kind of honor to carry, you know, being the last man he ever faced. Here's the thing, though. We were never friends. Not really, not off camera. Didn't ride together, didn't call each other up on off days. And yet, the chemistry, the trust, the way we could read each other mid-match without saying a word, I've never had that with anybody else, not even close. So when people ask me straight out, who's the greatest in-ring wrestler I've ever seen, I mean, I hesitate because it feels like I'm leaving people out. But then I stop hesitating because it's Shawn. Probably the greatest there's ever been, honestly. Not the biggest, not the strongest, but nobody, and I mean nobody, ever made me feel the weight of a match the way he did every single time we stepped through that curtain together. You know, I keep coming back to that hat hanging there in the closet. I don't think greatness ever really lived in the wins or the titles. I mean, honestly, most of that fades faster than people want to admit. What stays with you, it's the men who made you earn something, the ones who tested you quietly without ever making a show of it. Some of them pushed me until I found a wrestler I didn't know was in there. Some of them just carried the whole business on their back long enough for guys like me to come along and inherit it. And some I never even got to test myself against. I just got to stand near them for a little while and understand later what that actually meant. That's the thing nobody tells you about respect in this business. You know, it's not loud. It doesn't come with a belt or a spotlight. It's a nod in a hallway. It's somebody trusting you enough to hand you their career for 15 minutes. It's a story that never got told, sitting with you for years afterward. I've been asked this question 100 different ways, over 100 different interviews. And I mean, my answer shifts depending on the day, depending on what memory happens to surface first. And that's honest. That's how memory works, brother. But these 5 they're the ones that never leave. Not because they were flawless, because they made me become something I couldn't have become on my own. I'll put the hat back now. Some things are better left hanging quietly until the next time somebody asks.